Pleased to welcome in Canadian Football Hall of Famer Jim Hopson now. His name is on the Grey Cup twice. And El Presidente, it's nice to see you. As always, as Grey Cups go, where does the 110th rate in your mind?
One of the best that I've seen in recent years. It was a great game. I really enjoyed it. And a surprising outcome to many, but probably good for the CFL and certainly good for the Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, well, one thing I know about you is you like the football talk and the breakdown. So please tell me, where did you see they won it? What told the tale of that game?
Well, Montreal, I expected Winnipeg to win, but I thought, if Montreal upset them, it wouldn't be all that surprising because their defense has been playing lights out for the last half of the season and the playoffs. Cody hasn't been playing super, but he was doing what he needed to do and not losing the game. And of course, they have a good receiving core, so they're pretty solid. I thought Winnipeg depended on their running game again, very much, and it's a great running game. But Collaros did not have the best game. In fact, he didn't have the last couple of years, and so they couldn't seem to put it together in terms of their passing game, which is surprising because of the quality of their receivers and their offensive line and so on. But it just seemed as if it was Montreal's year. They were on a mission, and I got to give Danny Machocha a world for what he accomplished this year there.
Former Saskatchewan Riders lineman Jim Hopson is with us, and president for 10 seasons, two-time Grey Cup champion. What does it do for the CFL that we would have an upset like this? And it's an upset because Winnipeg was favored by, depending who you talk to, 8.5 points. Winnipeg was favored, and they lost. What does it do for the CFL to have a last-minute drive, win a game, upset fashion? It's got to be anything but all good things, unless you're from Winnipeg.
Yeah, it is all good things in terms of interest, season ticket sales. The East is back. I mean, for a long time it seemed that the West was dominant, but with Toronto and Montreal and even Hamilton, they're certainly back. So it's good for the CFL. Winnipeg is not going to just disappear. They're a very good team. They've got some work to do, though. They're a bit of a crossroads now with some of their older players, but nothing but good in terms of that. And look forward to next year. I look forward to seeing what Winnipeg does because while they've got great receivers and lots of talent, their O-line is getting long in the tooth. I mean, Patty Neufeld's 35 years old. Their tackles are up there. So they got some work to do, but I don't think they're going to disappear from the mix. They'll definitely be in it. And but I hate to say it, but our challenges right now are in Saskatchewan and Edmonton, and those were two of the bedrocks for quite a while. So that's kind of where we have to see some improvement, huh?
Interesting you say that. I was not privy to the commissioner's pregame interview where I live. All I was able to watch was the game on the streaming, but Darren DuPont was telling me about that the commissioner was pressed on Saskatchewan and Edmonton's problems, and he didn't really give a satisfactory answer in Darren's mind. What would be yours on that? These are stalwarts. We never really have to worry about these teams. Apparently we do.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Riders certainly had their ups and downs, but since Roy Shivers came, and we had a pretty good run for 15 plus years, and even a couple of good years before the last two. In Edmonton, when I went to the job in Saskatchewan, I said I want to be the Edmonton Eskimos. I want to be the flagship, and they were. And it's really sad with what's happened with the board. The losses and the crowd size, but they seem to be a team in disarray right now, and they're talking about private ownership. And to be very honest, I don't see that as the answer. I mean, Rod, you've been around football a long time, the CFL, and we can both tell horror stories about some of the ownership groups we've seen in places like Calgary and BC and on and on. So I don't think that's the answer. I'm glad Rick Lawlisher's there because of his background, his history, his success, and I think he's the perfect guy to guide them forward as they look at that whole issue. But hey, win some games and all will be good.
So that's Edmonton. I mean, about Sask, are we headed to a lottery, a telethon, a bring your grain to the stadium? I mean, I just assume that they're fine because they're the Riders. They'll always be fine, right? How bad is it?
Yeah, we do, but the last 2 years have been hard, and especially now what happened with Cody and Jason Moss and what kind of success they had once they left here. I mean, I don't think there was any choice except for Cody to leave after what had happened last year. The fans had turned on him, the organization lost confidence. It wasn't good, and so he needed a fresh start. But it tells you about the organization and the culture and what's going on in that locker room. And 2 years in a row we've had an epic collapse in the middle of the year, and I think that speaks a lot to the culture of the locker room. And in fact, I always believe it was the whole organization. I didn't think it was just having a good team and a good culture there. You had to have it in the front office at the board level, like it trickled down. So we got to get back to that. And the new coach has to be someone who is capable of bringing in a strong culture. I mean, Rod, you were here when Ken Austin came, and the culture changed rapidly. He came in his first meeting and said, our goal is to win the Grey Cup. Anything less will be a failure. And we won the Grey Cup. And Kenny Miller was great at culture in the locker room, the respect he showed the players and the organization, but he also held everybody accountable. So, culture is so critical in every single organization. And we got to get that back. And the new coach and his staff have to be able to do that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where they land and what happens going forward.
Yeah, well, Kent just fit in with what you had laid down ahead. But it's interesting. I don't really care about the ownership. I care about the leadership. And I also know it's not easy. That's why those jobs pay so much. But I look at Montreal. You think I don't talk to people, Jim, and the Alouettes and how things changed under, let's all not forget, Quebecor bought that team in the last year. Right? And I'm like, what's changed? And they said the new owners have allowed Danny Machocha to do his job, and they didn't meddle. They got out of the way. Now, you weren't a guy that got out of the way. You had your thumb on people, right? You were holding people accountable, but Danny Machocha was a guy that I guess doesn't need to be. Just let him do his thing. That's why it's different in every different market. So, I don't care who the owner is. They need to have strong leadership, and that's why I think Edmonton is where they are. That's all. And the Riders, but that's my take on that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you, Rod. Interesting. I'd like to remind everyone that Danny Machocha is kind of in a similar type of story as Cody and Jason Moss. You remember when he left Edmonton, there was a lot of rocks and rotten eggs thrown at him, and he hadn't had a strong couple of ending years, but he goes to university, he wins championships, he goes back to the Alouettes, he builds a Grey Cup winner. There's a story of redemption. So really, and I always liked Danny. I enjoyed him and thought that he was a good football man, but things did not work out well for him in Edmonton. But it sure has worked out well for him in Montreal.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a small league, and people talk, but I just got to go by how people deal with me. And Danny Machocha has always been great to me, so I'm very happy for that entire crew. And I guess before I let you go, as we move into this off season, I'd like to see the CFL's profile be kept up over the next 6 months. But there's a lot of people within the league don't want that. I just feel like you come off cashing in on the biggest week of the year, and then they go away. I don't like that.
That's a good point. I mean, the NFL never goes away. You know that. And It's incredible the machine they have there. But yeah, we've got to stay relevant. We're coming off a good year, coming off a great cup, and I think there's every reason to keep our face out there with the fans. And but we've got to have some recovery back in Edmonton and Saskatchewan, and hopefully that will happen.
Absolutely. Hey, as I sit here, I don't think I can guess what your question or your answer is for our poll question today. It's for Key Auto Group out of Yorkton. What's the greatest Grey Cup of all time? 1989, 2005, 2023, last night, or other. Was there a better Grey Cup? I shouldn't assume what your answer would be. Was there a better Grey Cup than any of those three?
Well, 89 for sure has to be in there, and last night could certainly be, case can be made, but I loved the 2013 Grey Cup, being at home and the big win and everything else. It wasn't like it was a great game, but it was a great experience. So that one I'd like to see in there, and nice to talk about 07 in there as well, because that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we've actually had, we've had some pretty good cups, and worth watching, and presentation, not just the game, but the halftime, all of that was very well done. And I heard the debate about end zone, center of the field, but overall, I thought it was a pretty darn good experience.
Yes. Okay, now that's why I enjoy talking with you. You jogged my memory. That 07 Grey Cup, let's be honest, Ryan Dinwiddie takes over, got to drive to win the game, and I thought he was going to do it. Here we go again. They're going to rip our heart out again. And James Johnson steps in front of a Dinwiddie pick for a third time. Nope, not today. That was pretty exciting. I guess if you're watching it on TV, where were you, on the sidelines for that, or where were you watching that from?
I was up in a box. We had a lot of people there, but it was exciting. I would just remind you of the rare occurrence of a third down challenge being overturned or being upheld. And if that had gone against us, that game probably would have shifted against us as well.
I remember it very well. Doug Barry trying to challenge a challenge. And Kent, have you gone back and watched it? Kent, if you read his lips, he's like, he can't do that. He can't do that. Don't try and challenge right. Kent Austin on rules. Never. Yeah. All right, Jim. Always good. Thanks for the time. See you when we get home.
Yeah, we look forward to it, Rod, and all the best. And enjoy that Oilers game. Let's see if they can finish one out, huh?
It's going to be fun. Absolutely. Appreciate you. Hall of Fame President Jim Hopson joining us from the 306.